Okay, I think I'm back. Dogs that set each other off well, it's an everyday hazard here. Sorry about that. But anyway, and my daughter has been married for 4 years. Sadly, my daughter is on the verge of a divorce. I hope you don't mind me asking for advice. It's not about her children. Those are, unfortunately, what have become normal catastrophes, if there is such a thing in everyday life. What this letter is about, it's about her brother. So it's about my brother, aged 57, who has had mental illness since he was a teenager. He completely stopped taking his medication when our mother passed away. Now that could be quite pivotal in the whole thing. Passed away 4 years ago. My sisters and I have tried to help him by intervention, by getting him committed so he'll be forced to take the medication. But then the hospital would just release him after a few weeks for the same reason that you can't force anybody to take medication. It might possibly be quite pivotal here as to the fact that after the mother passed, he stopped taking his medicine. She doesn't say, but she implies that when he was taking the medicine, he was apparently doing okay. So, he hasn't hurt anyone yet, but then he screams profanities and destroys things, so he gets violent against inanimate objects. He seems to see bad people and witches. That's what he claims. A year ago he was evicted from the condo where the association got rid of him because of disturbances, and people were disturbances he was causing, and people felt threatened. Well, with that amount of what can we say, uncontrolled violence going on in an area, yes, people would do that. So after that he was homeless, living in a car for about 6 months, and then my sister found a house for him to live in. His car was repossessed from him for not paying his car loan. Can't imagine how someone behaves like this and is able to hold down a job unless he goes crazy part-time, which some people do, depending on what their reasoning is behind this. So I and another sister would pay for his utilities and other things that he might need. Another sister, this is a family full of sisters. Another sister would provide food from time to time. Anyway, to make the long story short, we've been helping him for the long time now. Him being destructive has caused more expenses than we can afford. Eventually, everybody will get to a point where they can't afford this. We paid some plumbing repairs, which I think he broke when he was in a destroying mood. Yes. He has also broken hardwood floors, windows, cabinet doors, kitchens, countertops and storm doors. But those we didn't repair, no funds. The latest thing he ruined are 2 toilets. He wanted a plumber to fix those. I'm 100% sure he ruined those too. Honestly, I'm fed up with him at the same time feeling sorry for him. I'm thinking, what would it take for him to stop destroying things in the house? Yesterday I was so stressed and I blocked him from the phone. I'm thinking if I stop helping him with repairs, he'll stop destroying things. And I need your advice. The problem with being sane when you're dealing with someone who is not sane is that your line of logic doesn't follow theirs, and inevitably there will come a point at which you can't handle this kind of random activity that's going on in your environment. Now, it sounds like you already did your hard work. You're a Filipino, so I have absolutely no doubt that you are very hard working and have been married and have brought up 2 kids, and that they are living their own lives anymore. So I guess it's you against the world right now with this going on, except that you have got, apparently, you've got sisters who are helping you. You need to have a family meeting. You need to have a family meeting, first of all, with your sisters, get them together and set some boundaries. Now, this will be the toughest thing you've ever done, because it's going to be what the Americans call tough love. I think that's transferred now and even travelled across the pond and is the same in the UK. Tough love. This means you stop enabling what this man is doing, and after a while that's what he will become. He is not your brother anymore. He is this man who is apparently causing so much destruction and mayhem in your life that you're actually not able to handle it. Get together with your sisters. Have an honest, frank discussion. Set the rules for the discussion in this way. Nobody is going to have it thrown up in their face for whatever they say. If you have murder in your heart right now, it goes no further than that meeting, but you should be able to vent it. You should be able to vent exactly what is in your heart, and that way you will at least know that you're not on your own. Believe me, if it did feel at times that you wanted to murder somebody, you will not be on your own. We've all been there, and I have no doubt that your sisters have also been there and may be there right now. So get together, find out what you agree with, then try to set some boundaries. The rule is that no one can say, that's too much, that's terrible, that's unfair, that's cruel. No one can say those things. You're allowed for a little while to say whatever you want behind closed doors, between it sounds like 3 sisters, maybe 4 sisters. You're allowed to say anything that you want. You're allowed to get it off your chest, and the others, each one at a time, all together, are duty bound by love and by loyalty to each other to listen and let you say what is on your mind. Get it off your chest. That's the thing to do. Until arrange for 4 hours, could be 3 or 4 hours, in a safe place, in a quiet place, in a secure place, where no one is going to come in and no one's overhearing you. Get it all off your chest, and then come up with some solutions. And no one can say, that's not practical, that's stupid. Nobody can say that. You're allowed, this is how a brainstorming session would occur in a business meeting for some company who was looking for new ideas to old solutions, new ideas to old problems, I should say. So when you've decided what can be done, and this is crucial, once you all agree and decide, you do that until you actually reach agreements that you know you can keep. Now, it's no use being a fan of ice cream, pigging out on it every day and saying, I can give it up in a flash, because probably you can't. It's no use saying I can give up the booze. It's no use saying I can give up cigarettes just like that. It's no use saying that, because you're going to probably have to fight an addiction. And maybe the way that you are enabling this brother is almost like an addiction. As for his side of things, he is doing things which create an effect. Now, you have said in the letter that he was taking his medication up until 4 years ago when your mother passed, Now, this is interesting because that was what happened with the man that I just quoted about his letter, about how he had inherited the taking care of a man who was mentally disabled, who was 57 or 58 and had the mental capacity of a 10-year-old, and it sounded like a quite irresponsible 10-year-old. Now yours is actually violent. You have to look at this, not just whether he will harm you, but whether he'll harm somebody else. Now you say that you've had him committed, but they've let him go. I don't know what the facilities are in your area, but what I would do is, I would find out. Now, don't go next door and talk to Aunt Jessie or Mabel across the road and say, do you know of any facilities for taking care of the insane? That's not going to do it. You need, as I always suggest, to go to the source. You need to go to the source for social services, and maybe you all need to go together as a group and say, what can we do here? We've had him taken into a hospital and then they've let him go. Let's extrapolate. This used to be the favorite word of a friend of mine. To extrapolate means to take it to its logical conclusion. So let's take this, in the absence of your brother being present with all of his insane behavior, and the three of you are going to extrapolate. What would happen if? What if? Love affairs, marriages, divorces, leaving the country of origin, sailing around the world, start off with what if? So, what if you do this? What if you do that? What if you do the one in the middle? You've already had him committed once and they've let him go. So you need to find services, you need to find a facility where those of a violent nature, and he is potentially violent because he is violent against inanimate objects, so therefore while he's being violent to inanimate objects, if anybody gets in the way, right, you understand, you could get hurt, but also you have the responsibility because you know what he is doing and the kind of track record he's got so far. You know what he is potentially capable of doing. This is a tough one. This is one that is going to be a heartbreaker because all of you are still identifying with the person that your brother has become, with your brother the way he was. So, have the meeting, vent freely, set some boundaries, say, this is how far. Each one take a turn. You're the one in the chair. What do you say? Well, I say, I'm not prepared to go further than this. And then you each get your chance to say how far you're going to go. And then I'm taking it that what you would do is go to the source, find out what facilities are there for someone who is of the nature, mental condition of your brother. Now, don't go to this agency wherever you're going to go for information on where he can go and be taken care of by confusing the situation with your brother who you love. You're going to talk about someone who is in your sphere of activity, who is potentially dangerous, and that's the story that you're taking to the source, to facilities for the mentally unstable. If you don't do something about this in a structured way, he may well be committed to an institution for the criminally insane, because you can't go around doing violent stuff, getting involved in violent profanity, because somebody is going to take exception to that. Someone's going to get in the way of something that's thrown. Someone's going to go around and try to talk sense to him when he's destroyed part of their property. And they're not going to know his background, and it could get very nasty. And that person who goes around there thinking that they're going to talk to someone who perhaps has been a little drunk or a little under the influence of drugs, but normally quite sane and lucid, only to find out that this is far from the situation, and end up in a violent confrontation which they are ill-equipped to deal with. And if they get hurt badly, your brother will be up on assault charges, and if it's found that he is not sane enough to be a member of society at large, then he will be taken away. And from that point on, it's rather a moot point, isn't it, whether he takes his medication or not. So, tough choices. Get together with everybody involved, have a tough love situation, talk. Everybody say exactly what they think without recrimination from the others. This is a no holds barred, no blame, no guilt trips given talk, where you get it off your chest. Then you're going to start talking about setting some boundaries so each of you knows how far the other's going to go. One of you may say, no matter what happens, I won't let him be taken away. And then the other says, if he swears at me once more, I'm going to plant one on his nose. You've got to have similar boundaries that make sense according to each other. Then you've got to find out, not just one of you, all of you have got to find out what the facilities are for someone. And you've got to agree that when you go, you're going to tell it like it is. Like you've told me, like you've told, well, a great number of people now in this letter in public media. So, Sherry and your sisters, I wish the best for your brother, but unfortunately he has taken it now to a point where he's creating so many bad effects that you can't keep up with him. Now here's one measure of finding out whether someone can be forgiven, redeemed, go on to behave better, any one of those things, where they can, in the old way, turn over a new leaf. The only one that can do that has behaved very badly, destructively, violently, is the one that stops behaving like that, at least enough to be able to confide to someone that this is what they do. So, if you've got someone who is doing more bad stuff than he can confess and be forgiven for, there's no redemption for him. There is no forgiveness. There is no forgettingness. He's got to change. And if he doesn't change, he will be held accountable in whatever way society eventually declares. And he's going to have to change then. Because if he doesn't discipline his environment and behave and stop destroying things in his environment in one way or another will discipline him. that might be at the end of a policeman saying, you got to behave, and if you don't, that finger is going to be under your collar. It's tough love. Talk, vent, boundaries, find your sources for what is available to you, then take action and don't look back. Once you have done all of this and you have said, we need to go this route, there's no point in going part of the way and then saying, well, just remember, this is our brother. Once you've made that decision, you need to go ahead with it. That's what I suggest, and I wish you very well, and I hope that you will get in touch with me again and tell me how it went. But take action, decide, take action, and see it through. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Bye for now.